4:47 a.m. Caracas, Venezuela. The steel door didn't just lock. It was designed to survive war. Explosives. Ballistic assault. Military-grade threats. But it couldn't survive what came next. An FBI hostage rescue team breacher placed a shaped charge against the reinforced frame. The blast echoed through concrete corridors buried 40 feet beneath Venezuela's presidential palace. Smoke filled the underground chamber. The door hung twisted on its hinges. What agents found inside would rewrite the history of narco-states in the Western Hemisphere. This wasn't a drug bust. This was proof that a sitting president had turned his nation into a cocaine empire. If you want the full story, hit like so this reaches more people who need to see the truth. The fortress beneath the palace. Miraflores Palace sits in the heart of Caracas. Gilded hallways. Marble floors. Portraits of Simón Bolívar watching from every wall. But beneath the grandeur, something else existed. A bunker. 5,000 square feet. Reinforced concrete walls embedded with steel rebar. Independent electrical systems with battery backup. Blast-resistant doors at every checkpoint. And it was filled with cocaine. 15 metric tons of pure cocaine stacked floor to ceiling on industrial metal shelving. Each brick wrapped in brown packing tape. Each stamped with a scorpion logo inside a circle. The signature of Los Escorpions. A Colombian cartel that had been operating under full protection of Venezuelan military intelligence for over a decade. January 4, 2026. Operation Scorpion strikes. At 2:14 a.m., over 400 federal agents descended on Caracas from multiple directions. FBI, DEA, ICE Special Operations Units, Delta Force operators, U.S. Navy SEALs, Marine Raiders. This wasn't a raid. This was an eradication. 6 high-value targets across the capital. Simultaneous breaches. Flashbangs detonating in luxury penthouses. Battering rams smashing through reinforced doors. In the Sabana Grande district, DEA agents hit a fortified mansion. Inside, 2.3 tons of cocaine. Industrial vacuum sealers. Hydraulic presses. And $18 million in U.S. currency stuffed into duffel bags. One man tried to flush his phone. A senior officer in Venezuela's National Guard. Agents retrieved it from the toilet. That phone would become the key to everything. 3 miles east, another team hit a warehouse registered under a fake agricultural export company. The paperwork said coffee beans. The reality was 4.1 tons of cocaine packaged in heat-sealed bricks. Each destined for Honduras, Mexico, and eventually the United States. Agents found manifests. Shipping logs. Encrypted ledgers documenting over 200 cocaine shipments in 6 months. Total transaction value, more than $800 million. This wasn't a rogue operation. This was state-sponsored drug trafficking. Comment exposed below if you believe corruption like this must be dragged into light. Inside the presidential compound. At 4:02 a.m., Delta Force operators fast-roped from MH-60 Black Hawk helicopters onto the palace roof. Within minutes, the upper floors were secured. The dictator and his wife extracted and transferred to a U.S. Navy vessel offshore. But the mission wasn't over. DEA Special Agent Miguel Ortega, a 25-year veteran, led the evidence team into the building. Their target, a secret bunker described by a cooperating witness. A mid-level Venezuelan army colonel arrested in Colombia who agreed to talk rather than face 20 years in federal prison. The team moved through palace corridors. Past portraits. Past crystal chandeliers. They reached a storage room adjacent to the main kitchen. Nothing suspicious. But an FBI technician used portable ground-penetrating radar to scan the walls. The device detected a large void space behind the northern wall. There was something back there. The false wall was reinforced concrete cleverly painted to look like ordinary cinder blocks. Behind it, agents found a stairwell descending into darkness. At the bottom, another door. Steel. Reinforced. The kind protecting a bank vault. The stairwell descended 40 feet below ground level. Concrete walls reinforced with steel rebar. LED lighting strips powered by independent electrical systems. This was a professionally engineered facility that cost millions to build. At the bottom was the blast-resistant door. It took a shaped charge to defeat it. Type yes if you're ready to see what they found. 4:47 a.m. The discovery. When the smoke cleared, agents pushed through with weapons raised. Tactical lights cutting through darkness. What they found took their breath away. The bunker was vast. multiple chambers. The main chamber filled floor to ceiling with cocaine bricks. Individually wrapped kilogram packages stacked on industrial shelving units. Each brick stamped with the Scorpion logo. The team began counting and documenting. The numbers were staggering. Approximately 15,000 kilograms. 15 metric tons. Street value exceeding $450 million. 15 tons of cocaine doesn't just appear. It represents months of production across multiple laboratories. Cultivation of thousands of acres of coca plants. A sophisticated logistics network capable of moving multi-ton quantities across international borders. And it represents state-level involvement. If this shocks you, hit like now. The evidence. In one corner, investigators found manufacturing equipment. Industrial-grade scales. Vacuum sealing machines. Hydraulic presses. Chemicals used in cocaine processing, hydrochloric acid, acetone, ether. This wasn't just storage. This was an active processing operation located directly beneath the office of Venezuela's president. In an adjacent chamber, the team found physical ledgers. Spiral-bound notebooks filled with handwritten entries documenting shipments, weights, destinations, and payments. One notebook dated July to December 2024 showed entries for over 200 individual shipments. A DEA analyst estimated those shipments represented over 40 tons of cocaine. Total value, more than $800 million. But the notebooks weren't the most damning evidence. Investigators found a desktop computer that had been left running. FBI cyber specialists bypassed the security and accessed the hard drive. Email communications between Venezuelan military officers and Colombian cartel representatives. Spreadsheets detailing cocaine shipments and profit distributions. Bank transfer receipts showing payments from offshore accounts in Panama, the British Virgin Islands, and Cyprus. And video files. Security camera footage from inside the bunker itself. Venezuelan officials and military officers overseeing cocaine processing operations. In one video dated November 12, 2024, Major General Hugo Ruiz examined samples of cocaine with Colombian men. They discussed logistics. They negotiated prices. The audio captured Ruiz offering to facilitate maritime transport from Venezuelan ports to Central America. This was organized. Systematic. Operating with the knowledge and approval of Venezuela's highest-ranking government officials. Share this so more people understand what really happened. The Continental Takedown. By dawn, the intelligence picture was complete. Inside a secure command center aboard the USS Bataan off the Venezuelan coast, federal agents gathered around a massive digital map covered with red markers. 47 markers in Venezuela alone. But the network extended across the continent. Shell companies in Panama. Money laundering operations in the Dominican Republic. Cocaine distribution hubs in Honduras and Guatemala. Cartel cells in Miami, Houston, New York, and Los Angeles. At 6:18 a.m., the order was given. Operation Scorpion's Nest. A coordinated multinational takedown. Over 1,200 federal agents and military operators launched simultaneous raids across 6 Venezuelan cities. In Maracaibo, DEA agents stormed a drug super lab. Agents seized 3.7 tons of cocaine. 22 cartel members arrested. In Valencia, a convoy of armored SUVs was intercepted. The vehicles contained 1.1 tons of cocaine, $4.3 million in cash, and weapons including AK-47s and fragmentation grenades. In Puerto Cabello, U.S. Navy SEALs boarded a cargo vessel. Hidden inside shipping containers, 6.8 tons of cocaine destined for Europe. Near the Colombian border, agents discovered underground tunnels used to smuggle cocaine, weapons, and migrants. Reinforced concrete walls. Ventilation systems. Electric carts for transport. At the end of one tunnel, agents found a fortified compound where cartel members had been holding migrants for ransom. 17 hostages rescued. 9 cartel operatives arrested. By noon, the operation had seized over 27 tons of cocaine, $89 million in cash, 340 weapons, and arrested 104 individuals. Comment justice below if you believe this needed to happen. The money trail. Back in the United States, IRS criminal investigators and FBI forensic accountants traced the money. Shell companies within shell companies. Offshore accounts in tax havens. Real estate investments in Miami, Madrid, and Dubai. Luxury purchases, yachts, private jets, exotic cars. The pattern became clear. President Arenas had personally authorized the creation of a parallel financial system designed to launder cocaine proceeds. His digital signature appeared on encrypted documents found in the bunker's computer files. Documents authorizing front companies. Documents approving cocaine shipments through military-controlled ports. Documents directing drug profits into offshore accounts. This wasn't corruption. This was command-level collusion. Among the most damaging files were communications between President Arenas and General Alejandro Torres, the defense minister. In one encrypted email dated September 2024, Torres wrote, "The shipment is secured. Military transport authorized. No customs inspection. Route clear to La Guaira." Arenas replied, "Good. Ensure payment is transferred to the usual accounts. 15% to the general fund as discussed." These were explicit instructions for drug trafficking. Analysis revealed Arenas had used drug money to finance political campaigns, to pay off judges, to bribe military officers, to fund propaganda operations. He had turned the Venezuelan government into a criminal enterprise. Type exposed if you believe the world needs to know this. Corruption within. The narco-state hadn't just corrupted politicians and generals. It had infiltrated law enforcement at every level. Files recovered from the bunker listed Venezuelan police officers, National Guard members, border agents, judges. Over 300 names, each receiving monthly payments ranging from $2,000 to $50,000. Some had falsified patrol reports. Some had leaked raid schedules to cartel operatives. Some had actively participated in drug trafficking. And some had murdered whistleblowers. Federal agents arrested over 70 Venezuelan police officers and military personnel during the raids. One officer, a 15-year veteran, told investigators, "I thought I was serving my country. Now I find out I was working for a cartel." The arrests. By the end of January 2026, President Arenas and 14 of his top officials were in federal custody awaiting trial in the Southern District of New York. The charges were sweeping. Narcoterrorism. Conspiracy to import cocaine into the United States. Money laundering. Racketeering. Violation of the Kingpin Act. Narcoterrorism alone carried a mandatory minimum of 20 years and a maximum of life in federal prison. Combined with other charges, Arenas faced multiple life sentences. There would be no plea deal. Federal prosecutors estimated that Arenas' network was responsible for importing over 1,200 tons of cocaine into the United States between 2015 and 2025. That cocaine contributed to tens of thousands of overdose deaths. It fueled gang violence in American cities. It destroyed families and communities. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next in this case. The human cost. Here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Power doesn't always need violence to survive. Sometimes it only needs silence. President Arenas built his empire on silence. And for years, that silence protected him. But silence has a cost. Over the past decade, cocaine from the Venezuelan network contributed to an estimated 35,000 American deaths. 35,000 mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters. Gone. Because a dictator decided to turn his country into a drug factory. And because too many people stayed silent. The bunker beneath Miraflores was more than a storage facility. It was a monument to corruption. 15 tons of cocaine. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Thousands of lives destroyed. All hidden beneath a palace where a president slept at night. Share this video so the truth doesn't get buried. The warning. This is not just a story about Venezuela. It's a warning about what happens when governments become criminal enterprises. It's a reminder that justice, no matter how long it takes, will eventually come. Even for those who believe they are untouchable. Even for those who hide in bunkers beneath palaces. There is no fortress secure enough. No wall high enough. No silence deep enough to protect you from the truth. And the truth, once uncovered, is unstoppable. The bunker beneath Miraflores is empty now. The cocaine seized. The evidence catalogued. The criminals arrested. But the fight continues. The only defense against corruption is vigilance. The only weapon against silence is truth. If you're still watching this, tap like so more people see this story. Comment justice below if you believe corruption like this must be dragged into the light. Share this so the truth reaches communities that need to hear it. Subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this fight. Because this is only the beginning. The networks are vast. The corruption runs deep. And the battle for truth is far from over. Stay vigilant. Stay informed. And never stop demanding accountability from those in power.